I did get around to playing and beating Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Honestly, man, I was very excited for this game to come out. I'm a fan of Kirby, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of Kirby. I think the only other Kirby games I ever played was probably the Game Boy. I mean, I wasn't, before this, I didn't play much Kirby. So I was a little bit surprised with just how amazing this game is, how much quality there is behind this game, especially for this being Kirby's kind of like debut into the 3D world. This game basically plays like a Mario game. It's a platformer, it's a 3D platformer. It's extremely well designed. The levels are very well designed. The power-ups are some of my most favorite part of the game. Just the fact that you can find blueprints to upgrade some of your some of the abilities that you find across the worlds is amazing. It just made me really excited to see what the next upgrade was going to be for each of these abilities, and to be honest, there was put a lot of thought into how these things work. Obviously, at one point you upgrade your ability so much that you basically become invincible, which I guess is fine, but it does become a little bit chaotic trying to figure out what's going on the map, what's trying to going on, you know, when you're fighting a boss and whatnot. But still, it is a very, very good game, and I do recommend it. Some of the pros for Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the art style is cute as hell, man. It is colorful, it is vibrant. It just made me very happy to always be playing this game. Every time I boot it up, I was like, oh, I'm ready. But do not be tricked. The story behind this game is rather dark, and I did not expect it. It came out of left field. People have been saying that Kirby games stories specifically are all like this. They have kind of like dark undertones and some really kind of like meta space, the other dimension sort of like undertones. But I won't get too much into the story, not to spoil anything, but I will say I was impressed with the story. I was like, this can't be a children's game, but here we are. I'm not gonna say anything. I was about to describe the final boss, but whatever. All right. Movement is very smooth. Of course, that is a huge element to any 3D platformer. If you don't have smooth movement, you don't have a good game, in my opinion. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land completely nailed that on the head. It is one of the smoothest games I've ever played, 3D platformers I've played. It's just, it moves really well. Kirby is really easy to control. Obviously the camera angles sometimes kind of mess me up, but I think that has to do more with my depth perception more than anything. Had the same issue with Super Mario 3D World. So I think it has to do more with the, I don't want to call it isometric camera angle, but that kind of did, you know, put a little bit of a obstacle for me, at least for me. So yeah, besides that, movement is very smooth, very easy to pick up. It's a very beginner friendly game, and it does, the level design just makes it so it's a lot easier for you to understand and really get the mechanics of the game down to a T. So level design, beautiful. Boss design, enemy design, just amazing, man. These are some of the best boss designs I've ever seen. It's just, they'll tie really well into with the game, and there wasn't a single boss that where I didn't say like, whoa, this is definitely a challenging game. This is okay. Now there's patterns to this. I gotta really think about what I want to do. I gotta think about what abilities I want to get into before getting to these fights with the bosses. I really gotta think about what my strategy is gonna be. Okay, this is the pattern. At one point I said like, yo, I played this game right after I beat Elden Ring, and I was like, yo, is Kirby just a Souls game, but like for like children? Or is it like the beginner Souls games? Because there's certain parts where I'm like, these bosses are kind of difficult, and they're actually they're reminiscing of a lot of different stuff, different abilities that other bosses I experienced in Elden Ring had. And I was like, specifically one of them, I can't even say it because I don't know if it's a spoiler. He is an early boss, but at the same time, he's a very important boss, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But there's a specific boss where I'm like, even the arena is just spectacular. It's very Elden Ring reminiscent. So I enjoyed that thoroughly. The boss fights were some of the best things, some of the best parts of this game. The graphics are amazing for a Switch game. I mean, if Luigi's Mansion never taught me anything is to like really not underestimate the Switch and its capabilities, specifically the depths that you know, developers that specifically make games for the Switch, because yo man, those people are wizards. The way they put out these games and how they just look beautiful and like such underpowered hardware. And I'm just amazed that with this game specifically, everything is beautiful, everything is really crisp. There's a few issues here and there, of course, with some just some edges being a little bit rough, but nothing too crazy. It is a beautiful looking game. It is amazing. It's great. I love it. It's amazing. Some of the cons with this game, of course, I can you know, paint it as a perfect game, but it is not. There's no single perfect game except Majora's Mask. But I will say that the co-op in this game isn't the best. I played it with my girlfriend and I just didn't appreciate how the camera is basically focused on just the main player of the game, whoever's playing as Kirby. The other person kind of has to play within those realms. They can't stray away too far from the main player, because if not, they'll just get transported back to the main player. And I think that limits a lot of the exploration. It limits a lot of the fun that can be had when you're playing, you know, these couch co-ops. I mean, look at games such as It Takes Two. It implemented the co-op elements, the puzzle solving, into what is the you know, the nature of co-op. It forces the other person to do their job. It forces you to do your own job, and it doesn't put everything on one single player. So it's not much of a co-op, and it's more so of like a assistant, sidekick, co-op, kind of like handicap. Like, it makes the game a little bit easier, but at the same time it makes it more annoying. So I really didn't like it. Camera sucks. There's just no real point to co-op, in my opinion, for this game, especially because the second player can't even use the abilities that Kirby can use. So you're really limiting yourself if you're playing as a second player, and it kind of sucks, because I would like to think that the developers did it like this because they think that, oh, second players usually aren't people who game a lot, so let's make it easier for them. But like, come on, my girlfriend games, and I just didn't appreciate how much they took away from the second player and made their experience a little less than, you know, could have been, in my opinion. I will say the game is too short for me, and even though it's really short, I will say, and I will criticize this, a lot of the enemies are recycled. A lot of the bosses are recycled to a point. After a certain point, you start fighting kind of like the same bosses. They kind of turn into mini bosses at some point. And it just, you know, for the price tag of $60, I know this is a first party Nintendo game, but still, like, after beating it, I think it takes around 8 to 10 hours, if not less, if you're really that good. And I was left with like, oh, I really would love to have played a little bit more. There is a little bit of a post game, but I don't think it warrants to be considered enough, in my opinion. So it was a little bit disappointing, and I think they could have made this game a little better. I think they just really screwed it with that. The co-op could have added a lot more into the game. It could have made it a lot more interesting, could have added a lot more content into it, but it is what it is. I appreciate the mini games inside of the main game. They're really fun, but they're a little bit repetitive, and it comes to a point where you kind of just master them and they're no longer a challenge, and it's just you trying to like perfect every single mini game, that it comes to a point where you can't do any better. So it's that in that sense, it left a lot to be desired. But I will say this is a move in a very good direction for Kirby, the Kirby franchise. I think it is a decent first iteration into the 3D space for Kirby, and I definitely recommend it. But I would say go to Walmart, get this for $50, and if you can find it for a lot cheaper, I'd say $35 is a good value for this game. I think this game should have been priced at $40. I'm just gonna say it. It is what it is.